Police are searching for the man. This video, you can see it here. They say stabbed a 19-year-old in the Bronx. It happened around 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon on 3rd Avenue in the Morrisania section. The two men could be seen fighting when police say the suspect stabbed the victim several times. That victim is in stable condition. If you have any information about the suspect, call Crime Stoppers 1-800-577-TIPS.
New video just into the newsroom shows a baseball bat attack in Manhattan. Police are looking for the suspects who assaulted a food delivery man Tuesday night on St. Nicholas Avenue in Fort George. The 29-year-old victim was attacked by as many as 8 people before he ran off. One suspect hit the delivery man in the head with a bat, while a second struck him with a stick. They also damaged his bike. Thankfully, the victim was wearing his helmet, which protected his head during the attack.
Police have now charged a Bronx couple with murdering their roommate after he complained they were making too much noise. The killing took place yesterday inside an apartment all three shared in Norwood. Investigators identified the victim as 29-year-old Jonathan Hutcherson. Officers say 21-year-old John Delgado and 20-year-old Miana Torrico attacked Hutcherson and stabbed him as they brawled.
Camera, 8 people beat a food delivery worker with a baseball bat. A murder investigation in the Bronx. Police discovered a mother and her 6-year-old daughter dead. They'd been stabbed several times in their Monticello Avenue home.
Sources tell Eyewitness News the suspect behind their death is the mother's boyfriend. The victim's family spoke to our Kimberly Richardson, and she joins us from Edenwald with the latest developments. Kimberly?
Well, Joe, the victim's father tells me his daughter was planning to surprise him just next month and fly to Florida to see him. But instead, this entire family is trying to piece this together. Police came to a home just up the block here to check on the 26-year-old victim and her 6-year-old daughter last night. But instead, one investigator says it was the worst thing he's ever seen. 2 separate, very violent crime scenes here in the Bronx. The connection, a young mother, her 6-year-old little girl, and sources tell Eyewitness News the man who killed them both. Police have not yet formally identified the 26-year-old woman who lived here on Monticello Avenue. I spoke by phone with the victim's mother.
I had this idea that my baby was going to end up dead. I feel like I'm in shock. I feel like I'm keeping it pretty much together.
Police came to the ground floor apartment just before midnight Saturday evening for a wellness check and made a gruesome discovery. One investigator says the worst thing he's ever seen. Sources tell Eyewitness News the little girl was found dead in her bed under the covers, stabbed in her head. The child's mom also dead in the home where 3 knives were located.
This girl has so much promise. My daughter was an amazing mom. She was a single mother. She was doing it all by herself. She was going to school, studying for medicine, pharmacology.
Sources tell Eyewitness News security cameras at the crime scene show Khalib Dewberry leaving the home. The victim's mom tells me Dewberry was dating her daughter, but was not the child's father. Roughly 12 hours after the murders, police got a call of a man involved in a homicide, barricaded inside of an 8th floor apartment of this nearby building. Sources say it was Dewberry who ended up taking his own life. The young mother's father tells me just last year he was worried, asked police to check on his daughter.
Of course, she was afraid. So when they knocked on the door, everything was supposedly fine.
The sources.
Developing story. Police in Cypress Hills, Brooklyn, investigating a gruesome discovery: a human leg found inside a car. A man was walking on Jamaica Avenue at around 3:30 p.m. Monday when he saw those human remains. Police say there's no evidence that the incident is connected to a dismembered body found in East New York last week, but the investigation is continuing.
We are following breaking news in downtown Manhattan, where there's been another attack inside a subway station.
Police are searching for the suspect who hit a man in the head with a hammer. CBS 2's Allie Bauman live at the scene with the breaking details tonight. Allie?
Christina Maurice, it's the latest in a troubling trend. Police say the victim is an Asian man. He is expected to survive, but he was down inside this subway station about an hour and a half ago when someone hit him over the head with a hammer. It happened around 9:20 p.m. inside the 14th Street subway station by 7th Avenue. First responders rushed to the scene and wrapped the victim's head in bandages before taking him to the hospital, where he is now being treated. Police tell us it is too early in the investigation to say whether this attack was targeted, unprovoked, or is being investigated as a hate crime. The suspect is described as a male wearing a red jacket, possibly a wig. Police say they fled the station after the attack. It's been just over 2 weeks since Mayor Adams launched his zero-tolerance subway safety initiative, and only 12 days since a woman in...
Authorities are searching tonight for the man who shot and killed a woman who was stopped at a red light in Commerce. It happened early Saturday morning at the intersection of Telegraph Road and Garfield Avenue. LA Sheriff's deputies say the man pulled up next to the woman's SUV and fired off several shots before speeding off. The victim drove to a convenience store for help, then was taken to a hospital where sadly she later died. The Sheriff's Department wants to hear from anyone who might have information on this case. Video this morning. Surveillance video shows two suspects arrive on what appears to be a blue motorcycle. Police say they robbed someone of their necklace at gunpoint inside John's Fried Chicken on West 207th Street Sunday night. They both left on that blue motorcycle. Police say no one was hurt so far, no arrests. This morning, the NYPD trying to identify the two suspects wanted for robbing a mother and her 3-year-old son at gunpoint in the Bronx. It happened Wednesday morning in the lobby of an apartment building near Sedgwick Avenue and West Kingsbridge Road. Police say the robbers first pointed the gun at the 35-year-old woman's stomach and then at the boy's head. They stole the woman's keys, iPhone, and a wallet with $1,500 in cash. They then drove off in her Range Rover.
After 30 days, I could not believe my before.
Vicious and gruesome incidents that I've witnessed in my 20 years.
Vicious and gruesome. That's how the Daytona Beach police chief describes what happened to a local couple out riding their bikes. That horrific crime happened early Sunday morning. The husband and wife were found stabbed to death. This was along Wild Olive Avenue near Riverview, and it was only a mile away from Main Street. West 2's Claire Metz is joining us live this noon. Claire, initially this was believed to be a hit and run.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what the caller who discovered the people thought in the first place. But when police arrived, they found something far different. The couple laying in the grass in this area here on Wild Olive, right off Riverview Boulevard. Police say the two had been viciously stabbed, their throats slashed.
We can't rule out that this may be totally random, but if it is totally random, the person responsible has to be deranged.
A middle-aged husband and wife riding bicycles home from Main Street and the Bike Week festivities early Sunday morning, savagely stabbed, and at this moment, police don't know why.
We can't rule anything out, but it does not appear to be a robbery, just based on the valuables that were left in their possession.
Police say they have surveillance of a possible person of interest, a man, unknown race, on foot on Wild Olive at the same time the couple was there. He was possibly carrying a backpack and walked south, then north, then back south again.
Shot and killed inside a bodega. That shooting happening on St. John's Place in Crown Heights. Eyewitness News reporter Derek Waller is there live with the very latest. Derek?
Shirley, this morning there's still so many unanswered questions as to why a man was chased into this bodega last night where he was shot and killed. And as you can see, police are still here on the scene. They've been reviewing security camera footage and interviewing witnesses here at St. John's Place and Troy Avenue. Take a look at this video from overnight. It was an emotional scene as loved ones came here and reacted to the news. Police say the shooting happened just before 11:30 p.m. 30-year-old Adib Robinson was found inside the deli with gunshot wounds to his torso, multiple gunshot wounds. He was later pronounced dead at Kings County Hospital. But the question is why? Investigators say the victim didn't have any prior arrests or any known affiliation with any gangs. The suspect is described as a black man last seen in a green jacket, black pants, blue hat, and white sneakers, and he was seen running east down St. John's Place. So certainly if you see someone with that description in this neighborhood, if you happen to be watching, please call police.
4:30, an innocent couple is stunned when thieves go on a luxury brand shopping spree using their money. A Woodland Hills couple says thieves drained their bank account of nearly $50,000 after their mail was stolen.
Yeah, only on 9, KCAL 9's Christine Lazar shows us where all that money was spent.
Back in November, in the middle of the night, this masked thief quietly and methodically walked into the mailroom of a Woodland Hills condo complex. Using a master key, he opened one section of the mailbox and put the contents in a backpack and calmly walked out.
They open this up and they go directly to our section.
Reza Masumi believes his newly issued debit card was in that stolen mail. Within 4 days, his and his wife's bank account was drained of nearly $50,000. When the bank finally notified him of the potential fraud,
I was shocked. I'm like, who's using my debit card? This is a mistake. And then I logged into my Blue Vine account, and at that time, there were over 68 transactions.
most of the money was spent within a few miles of the couple's home, and some of the biggest purchases were made here at the Topanga Mall. More than $4,000 at Nordstrom, $2,000 at Ferragamo, $1,200 at Gucci, more than $3,000 at Yves Saint Laurent. They went to Macy's and Neiman Marcus too.
It looks like somebody just went and got themselves a very nice Christmas shopping spree.
The suspected thieves also went to a local smoke shop. The owner gave Masumi security video of the pair, a man in a mask and a hood, and a woman standing beside him. It's unclear if the man is the same one from the mailroom. The cameras caught the license plate of the car as they drove off. So Masumi figured it was an open and shut case, and he would have his money back in no time. Instead, 4 months later, the bank, Blue Vine, is telling Masumi they don't have an update. The LAPD is telling him the same.
It seems like nobody's willing to do anything about it, and now
A woman screaming and running across the park as she is chased by an SUV.
Police are asking for your help figuring out who this woman is. A homeowner surveillance camera captures the scene at Satsuma Park, where our Lauren Tallarico is tonight, with more on this story. Lauren?
Yeah, this video really makes your stomach drop. It's been shared thousands of times already. So many people wondering who this woman is, and more importantly, is she okay? It's about 10 o'clock this past Friday morning. Home surveillance video shows a woman running from a gray Ford Escape at Satsuma Park, screaming.
I can't get the sound of her scream out of my head. It was so horrible.
This is the voice of the woman whose cameras caught the whole thing. She realized what happened later when she reviewed her footage.
I see her running and screaming. You can tell she's terrified, looking back, trying to get away.
Pasadena police think the victim is a teenager or in her early 20s. You see her run across the park trying to get away.
Once he goes into the wooded area, you can hear her screaming again, and you can faintly hear him telling her to get in the car.
The witness called police, who came out that day to investigate, but she wasn't interviewed, and police hadn't seen the video at that point either. But today, Sergeant Raul Granado says when they did see the video, they reopened the investigation.
Want to make sure that she's okay first and foremost.
Are you worried about her?
Absolutely. So we heard the scream at the end. We don't know if he hit her with the vehicle. We don't know if she screamed because he stopped and he put her in the vehicles.
They also don't know if this is domestic, a kidnapping, or something else. But thousands have shared this chilling video already, hoping she's okay.
I just want to make sure she is safe, that her family is looking after her.
Anyone with information about her or that SUV should...
The NYPD released this video of the incident in the Fordham Manor section. Investigators say in the middle of the day, 3:30 p.m. yesterday, the suspect choked a 27-year-old woman until she was unconscious and then raped her inside her apartment building on Davidson Avenue and West 190th Street. The victim was taken to the hospital with cuts on her nose and mouth.
One of the most common
combos that people do when they...
Starts right now with breaking news we've just confirmed with Philadelphia police. A 17-year-old shot earlier this evening has died at the hospital. It happened in the 300 block of Ashmead in East Germantown around dinner time. Reports initially indicated the shot was self-inflicted, but police moments ago tell CBS 3 a 9-year-old child in the home fired the fatal shot. The investigation is ongoing.
Begin with that search for the suspect behind a series of attacks targeting homeless people.
Police in both New York City and Washington, D.C. believe the same man is responsible for at least 5 incidents, 2 of them deadly. CBS 2 Elijah Westbrook is live in Soho with more on what we know about the suspect. Elijah?
Yeah, well, Chris and Cindy, the NYPD recently putting up these flyers you see here behind me of the man they believe is responsible for these attacks. They say he's killed at least 2 people and injured 3 others, and we're now getting a closer look at one of the attacks police say he was involved in right here on this street. Take a good look at this guy. He's who police say is going around and targeting homeless people. In this surveillance footage, you can see the man wearing all black, slowly walking by the victim on Howard Street in Soho, who appears to be sleeping on the ground. He then casually turns around and hovers over the victim, seemingly checking to see if anyone is watching before shooting the man. We stopped the video right here just before it happens, given the graphic nature.
He was very kind. He was very sweet. He really kept to himself.
This guy who works nearby knew the victim and says he was friendly and had a kind spirit.
When you give him money or give him coffee, he'd always say, God bless you, God keep you. So I can't think of such a tragic story.
The deadly attack on Lafayette Street Saturday afternoon is being tied to another shooting earlier that day on King Street near Varick. That victim is at the hospital recovering. Sunday night, New York City Mayor Eric Adams and D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser released a joint statement reading in part, quote, "The work to get this individual off our streets before he hurts or murders another individual is urgent."
Westchester County, a surveillance camera capturing the brutal assault on a 67-year-old Asian woman punched more than 100 times. We warn you, the video is disturbing, and in it you see the attacker follow the woman as she walked into her apartment building on Friday before he turns on his prey. Eyewitness News reporter Shantae Lowndes, live in Yonkers with Shantae.
Dave, Yonkers police arrived here to find that woman bleeding from her face. She was rushed to the hospital with bone fractures to her face and bleeding in her brain. The suspect, meanwhile, neighbors say lives in the same exact building as that victim. Police say he was arrested here without incident. Frightening moments for a 67-year-old Asian woman as she enters the front doors of her apartment building in Yonkers Friday night. A man is seen on surveillance video walking up from behind, knocking her to the ground and punching her 125 times in her face and head before stomping and spitting on her. The victim's neighbors watch the video in horror for the first time.
Oh! That's very crazy. And very scary. And that lady, she bothers nobody. Nobody.
Police identified the man as 42-year-old Tamil Esco. He was arrested and charged with attempted second-degree murder as a hate crime and second-degree assault as a hate crime. Investigators say he called that woman a racial slur as she walked past him before entering the building. Other tenants say this suspect also lives in the building.
I had an altercation with him. Me, not physically, but something he did to my granddaughter. And I don't understand how he even came back out here after he did what he did. He stalked her and threw her through that window over there.
And police say that woman is currently in stable condition. That is the good news at this hour. That suspect, meanwhile, is in Westchester County Jail. He was arraigned on Saturday, due back in court on March 25th. The Westchester County District Attorney's Office is prosecuting this case.